Um, my occupation is a clown. I go to kids' birthday parties dressed as Mr. Gacy's character of Pogo the Clown, who I think is an amazingly original clown character. When I think about the way he put makeup in, I mean, how he created that character, I want to give homage to an innocent man. My name is Harold Trombone. Take Charles Manson, the biggest serial killer type, mass murder type guy. I mean, just a murderer. He didn't do anything. It was all those kids, those wacky guys taking LSD that killed those people. He didn't do anything. He had a cross in his right hand. Hey, don't you kill Sharon Tate. Because if you do, I'll get mad. And they did it anyway. He didn't do a single thing. And I've read Helter Skelter. You know what I'm saying? I've read all those books. And there's not a single true fact in this book at all. This whole book was probably put together in like a week, and it's just like garbage. Like John Wayne Gacy, take him. He was the clown. Do you think a person like a sexy, big man would kill any boy? No way. And Charles Manson looks like Jesus Christ, and you want to give him a massage. I mean, I want to touch him. You know what I mean? Those men are attractive. Jeffrey Dahmer, he was a martyr, I guess you could call him, for the men who were accused of being serial killers. Because Jeffrey Dahmer was a totally normal person. I think he might have been a homosexual. Maybe. They framed him for stuff he didn't even do. And then he was brutally murdered for crimes he didn't even commit. Like, I have a lot of glossy pictures of, Richard Ramirez in my bedroom. Because I think, he is a married man, but I think he is one of the most amazing. Because he was just a boy who America called a Satanist, but he was not actually. The whole, Hail Satan, on his hand, that was actually computer generated. He didn't say that at all. It was so that everyone would vote him, guilty. He didn't do a single thing. He might have had long hair, but I don't think that's a crime. If it was, then in the 70s. Spare time I go downtown and I talk to people about why the martyr Charles Manson should be released from prison. And I don't get a lot of good responses. There's a lot of people who are brainwashed and think that he, did that. But those are those people that are a little crazy. You know what I mean? They don't know what's going on. I do these things so people can understand that I'm not just some, guy going out and pretending that I want to free these innocent people, but that I actually, I'm not just sitting complacent. You know what I mean? People need to know. Free man. This is something I made out of ceramics, and I made 2 of these, and I sent this one to Jeffrey Dahmer before he was killed. And I don't know if he got it, but I like to think he did. You know what I mean? There was, I send a lot of things. I sent a birthday cake to Manson one time, and he sent me a card back, and I have lots of cards from serial killers. I don't have a girlfriend. A lot of girls think I'm weird because I try to tell them about what serial killers have done, and they don't really get it, you know what I mean? I guess you guys think I'm probably weird, but I'm not. He's just, I was born, in a normal family, read this Bible, you know what I mean? I read the Bible, and here, let me read you a passage from that Bible. God made animals on the 6th day. Furry animals, scaly animals, smooth, sleek animals. And on that day, God made man. When God was finished, God saw that everything he made was very good. And on the 7th day, God rested. And I like to say, on the 7th day, God created serial killers, because that's my calling. I try to save. I guess you could say I'm like Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ helped the sick and wounded, and the sick and wounded are the men who are called serial killers and are called murderers and are framed by the media. God said, "It is not good for Adam to be alone," so God made a woman, and you can see a little tear on Adam right there. He's crying. And her name was Eve. Eve was just right to be Adam's special helper. Well, my favorite part is the man with the flaming sword, because I always used to think about having a flaming sword and what I could do with it. Really, one of my favorite things to do is read these books of trash and see all the things, you know, that how they lie. They say this guy killed all his women, put him in his garden, but you know what? He didn't do bull. You know, it was just a normal guy. And just about how I write a lot to the publishers. I write letters that no one usually writes back, but I write a lot of stuff like that. Like this book, In His Garden, it's full of When I was, a really young kid, my first dog was killed, and I strangled it accidentally. So you gotta tell the young kids about, hey, there's people being murdered that are innocent men. Like John Wayne Gacy is totally innocent, hasn't done a single thing wrong. I gotta tell them about Charles Manson. I tell lots of 6-year-old kids, what they say he did and how he's not, and you need to write to your congressman and tell him to release Charles Manson. And the kids sometimes do. Sir.
Young in a mental hospital.
Look, I'm sorry. I guess to some adults, when I do parties for kids, think that their kids might a lot of
kids. You
don't
belong around kids.
I had a little brother for a while.
You belong in a mental hospital.
I've taught him. I decided to help everyone, tell him about that Gacy. Shouldn't have gone to prison. Shouldn't have been incarcerated.
Call me a pinko bastard.
Sir, I don't think that has anything to do with it. If I could just get paid, I could leave.
Kick his ass, Dad!
You better get the off my property. I'm gonna kick your ass, boy. Get out of here, boy.
Sir, look, if I could just get paid.
Get the out of here.
Okay. This is the third,
Go!
Well, this is the third job this has happened. I've been doing this for 3 months now, and I haven't been paid for any of them. The parents call me, they want I'm going! They want information, and I tell the kids, release, John Wayne Gacy shouldn't have died in prison. Jeffrey Dahmer shouldn't have died in prison. These are martyrs in a sense, because they're people that didn't commit these crimes. And, I come in, I put a little makeup on, Jeff. I put on makeup, you saw me. Yeah. And they me over. They don't even pay. They threaten me with baseball bats and dogs. I don't even have a car. I walked here because I wanted a job. And I thought these people would be a little open-minded. He called me a communist. Oh my God. Whatever, it's just typical. When you try to help convicted people that are innocent, this is what you get. When you try to help a guy like this, you get the threats like that, I'm never gonna stop. No matter how many times some guy calls me a communist, tries to stop me from saving people, there'll be a guy like me trying to save some people, and I'm never gonna stop, I'll tell you that much. Never. Because it's for this guy right here. We gotta get some tacos, Jeff. Let's get some tacos.
Okay.